Perfect in compassion. A reflection for the 7th Sunday in Ordinary Time. For 2 weeks running, we have listened to Jesus reinterpret familiar laws from the Torah, either from the Decalogue, Exodus 20, or the Holiness Code, Leviticus 19 and 20. His reinterpretations take a particular form called antithesis. In each case, he starts with, "You have heard," and follows with, "But I say." He then cites examples, calling his disciples, and us, to a deeper understanding and practice of righteousness before God. The 2 readings from last Sunday and today form a single section of Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, verses 17 through 48, that begins, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets," and ends, "So be perfect, just as your heavenly Father is perfect." We can imagine the eye-rolling reactions he got from those who first heard this daunting word. As if the law wasn't hard enough to keep, he's making it tougher. Who does he think he is? This challenge to go beyond the letter of the law to the very heart of it continues to prod us. How can we ever accomplish such a thing? On our own, we cannot. Only by the Spirit can we embrace the true spirit of the law. That said, it helps to find an organizing principle, a point of focus. Today's first reading and responsorial psalm give us just that. First, we hear from the Holiness Code mentioned above. "Speak to the whole Israelite community and tell them, 'Be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy.'" Leviticus 19, verses 1 and 2. The reading then jumps down to verses 17 and 18, summed up in the words, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." In Psalm 103, we find a familiar formula drawn from the very mouth of God. "Merciful and gracious is the Lord, slow to anger and abounding in kindness." This language points back to a theophany in Exodus 34, when Moses experiences the presence of the Lord and comes down the mountain glowing. On that occasion, the Lord speaks in clear self-reference. The Lord, a merciful and gracious God, slow to anger and rich in kindness and fidelity." This gives us a clue to the meaning of "Be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." This seems to be the point that Jesus makes with his final antithesis. He contrasts, "You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy," a popular distortion of the Holiness Code, with "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." The reason he cites, "that you may be children of your heavenly Father, for he makes the sun rise on the bad and the good, and causes rain to fall on the just and the unjust," connects back to the merciful and gracious God of Exodus 34 and Psalm 103. And the final line, "So be perfect just as your heavenly Father is perfect," echoes Leviticus 19:2. Our call, then, is to become perfect as our Heavenly Father is perfect, in compassion. All of this gives us a context for St. Paul's reference to the community of believers in Corinth, and to us along with them, as the holy temple of God. The indwelling Spirit makes us God's temple, and enables us to emulate God's brand of holiness in our communal life and in the world, always humbly, knowing that without the Spirit we can do nothing good. For me, this resonates with the Holy Father's call for the luminous and attractive witness of authentically fraternal and reconciled communities that practice compassion.